Welcome to Creative Conversations. I'm Roger Humphrey. In this episode, I'm pleased to welcome Peruvian artist Carolina Casusol. Carolina has won many awards and has been widely exhibited in her native Peru and across the United States. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe or follow buttons. It's a free and easy thing to do, but it really helps the channel a lot. Thank you. And we're welcoming to the program artist Carolina Casusol. Hi, Carolina.
Hi, Roger.
Thank you again for being on the show. I really, really do appreciate this and appreciate you taking the time. I'm getting a little morning sun through the window over here, so I'm kind of trying to find a good place to sit here. So, but thank you. I got a bunch of questions. You're originally from Lima, Peru.
Yes.
And
I was born there and I was raised there. Yep.
okay. And then you came to the United States when?
That was in August 2016.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you've really been here less than 10 years. So now you studied, painted and studied in Lima, correct? Is that where you studied originally?
Yeah, I did my undergrad at Lima in an art school, in a local art school, and then I applied to the master program at Tulane. And that's actually why I moved to the States because of
Ah,
grad school. Yeah,
I see. Okay. So you spent a little time in New Orleans. How'd you like New Orleans?
I love it. New Orleans is great. It's a great place to just like, to just hang out, meet people. Like the community is really friendly. There's always activities. There's always music alive. You could be like walking around the business district and you could just like pop in to the concert.
Ah,
Yeah.
so a little different than Lima?
Um, Lima, Lima is a big city. So we're around 10 million people or something like that in the city. It's like, yeah, we're a huge city. So the change was a little bit hard for me because I was used to see people just like walking in the street, like
Uh-huh.
all the time. And New Orleans is more laid back, it's slow, right? It has like a different type of speed. So at the beginning it was like kind of hard for me, but I got used to it.
So I guess a question that I would have immediately then as a musician, but you as an artist, how does that vibe from when it changes so severely? How does that affect your art, or does it?
It does definitely like the context change. So when I was like back in Lima, mm, I was working with subjects in relation with landscape, but with more, but I was like very involved into field trips around the country, just like, and I was very involved with what was happening there, socially and politically. So when I moved here, the context just changed completely. And it was just like starting from scratch. It's
Oh,
like
really?
now I'm here. Yeah, what I can do here is like it's not like when it's just like a more like interdisciplinary artist.
Okay.
So it's not like I change my studio to another city and just like keep painting. I just like start exploring, the materials and things like that. So to me, it was just like a huge change and it was like very challenging, but it was awesome at the same time. It was I think like nowadays that I can just like see things from, with other type of view, I kind of appreciate it. Like I grow a lot during those two years.
There are excuse me. Uh, what are your favorite medium to begin with? Do you prefer to paint, or are you using other art forms?
When I was like an undergrad and before I applied to the art school, I used to paint more.
Uh-huh.
I I used to just like, I was more like an abstract artist, and I was like just exploring all that expressivity, through charcoal and painting and acrylics. But then like when I was just like study art, when I was studying I was a student, I just started exploring other medias. And I think it was because of the art school I went, um that we had classes in relation with photography, video, installation, 3D, like 3D forms. Like it was not at a sculpture class, but it was like kind of related to sculpture. Um, so we had the opportunity to just like navigate to different mediums. And then when I moved to New Orleans, I was working, I remember back in the time, more with video and installation. But when I moved to New Orleans, I was exploring more digital medias. But at the end, I remember, because everything is related to the budget, right? How much money can you invest in a project that probably is not going to sell? It's not. And I remember at the digital arts department, we had this like huge printer, an Epson 9800, I think. And we have a lot of paper. We had like rolls of paper. We could just like experiment with printing, and printing on fabric, printing on cotton paper. And I just started using that printer, and that paper, because those were like my resources. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna see what I can do with this material. And yeah, and that's how I end up like using a lot of like prints and photographs for my final exhibition at Tulane.
I noticed that, I mean, I was getting nosy and I was wandering around your Instagram page. And so I noticed that there's a lot of the subject matters is like found items, like there was a sales receipt in one case from a grocery
Right.
store and things like,
Yeah.
is that kind of the direction you're at, or is that just kind of a phase that you went through, or how does that figure in?
As soon as I finished grad school, I remember like I didn't have access anymore to facilities or in
Uh-huh.
studios. I
Sure.
went
Yeah.
back to the basics and I started just drawing again.
Uh-huh.
And that's when I started just like collecting objects. Um, but mostly objects that had a combination in between Spanish words and English words.
Oh.
So if you notice, like it says like Paraíso grocery store, and there was like another. I remember it was like a business card that the name was Santos, automobile
Repair.
something,
Yeah, automobile repair. I remember that. Yes.
Yeah, and then it was like a plastic bag that it says Ideal supermarket. So it's like all like the combination in between,
Uh-huh.
Spanish and English.
So you're kind of blending both of your worlds.
Yeah, in a way, yes. Yeah, I think I was doing that back in the time. Yeah.
Well, I found it very good art. I mean, I really enjoyed it a lot, and what little bit I saw of it, and obviously you're very skillful at it. I mean, it takes, I don't think people realize that to be an artist, and I don't care what the discipline is, there is dedication, of course, but there's also a lot of skill involved as well as talent. I think it's kind of a combination of all items, and what I see with a lot of people, personally in music, I see a lot of people with um, big ideas and inability to realize a lot of those ideas. They just don't have the skill set. They haven't studied properly, and so I see that a lot. So it's nice to see somebody who is that skillful and that artistic and is able to bring this vision to reality. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. I never actually thought about it. I guess I'm always been curious. Like right now, I'm not a I never I think I got one class, one printmaking class back in the time when I was an undergrad. And here, as soon as I moved to Miami, I start developing this project with printmaking. and it was basically just like going to YouTube, checking for tutorials, buying just like, small house kits for burning screens, for doing like serigraphy and all that.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I think I always been very curious, and I'm not afraid of changing mediums. And I get more, it's more fun with me for me to just like explore a new medium, to be honest. It's like when I get like when it's too easy, and I just get bored. Like
Sure.
as soon as I realized that I could draw the way I was drawing with that series of drawings in relation with the objects, at at some point I remember I was just like, I don't want to keep drawing no more. I want to do something else. And that's when I started exploring the printmaking techniques.
Well, I understand that. Once it's sort of like I've done this, I don't want to do it anymore. I mean, it's just, or I don't want to do it that much anymore. I don't want to focus on it anymore. There's nothing there to learn, or there's nothing there to learn more of, At some point, it becomes like a factory job, I think.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's like I mean, it becomes like a little bit more monotonous, like
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. So you need a challenge,
I need a challenge. But that's me, like we all artists are different. Like in
right?
my case, it works like that.
Well, I think some artists can stay in the same medium, and they find the
Yeah.
challenge in finding the subject matter and find in the minutia of that aspect of it. But I think all of us we at some point or another we need to look for our challenges. We're not happy without the challenges.
I think so, yeah. I mean, I guess some other artists are the scale, right? Like they start just like sketching, and then they change the scale, and they just want to do something way more bigger, and they just, that's their mojo. That's like what brings them, like passion and joy.
Right. Yeah, and I've thought about that, and I've seen on television, I've seen different people, particularly different celebrities who have moved from acting or music or something and have gone into painting. And they're painting these canvases that are just massive. And, and I'm thinking, well, it's really cool, but now what? Who's going to see it? Where do you display it? I mean, if you're okay just doing it and sticking it in the closet somewhere, it's got to be a big closet. But but if you're okay with that, fine. But I'm a musician. I need to be seen. I need to be heard. Look at me. Look at me. So,
I guess, yeah. I guess for musicians it's different because there are more, like there's like some aspects in relation with performance there, right?
yes,
So you
yes,
need an audience, you need like
yes,
that
yes.
interaction. And for artists, it's more like, yeah, we do art in the studio, like inside this space, and then whatever happens to the piece is probably not that relevant, or it is, like it is, but it's another part of the job that is like,
Well, you've got the
they're like,
business side. You have the business side of it as well. I mean,
yeah.
at some point, you have to put cereal in your bowl.
We need to make a living.
Yes, yes. And the thing is that we are as an artist, and of course this program is about artists, and sometimes most of us get a little embarrassed by the fact that we need to make a living. We're almost embarrassed that we need to sell what we do. But at the same time, realistically, I mean, if I was Santos Auto Repair, I know I've got to charge for my time.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Any other field. But yeah, so we do that. So you do you've hung in galleries, right? Around the country, and actually in South America as well, I believe, correct?
Yeah, I have showed my work in Lima, Buenos Aires, um, a couple times in New Orleans, and here in Miami too. So just but I don't have a gallery representation, which is different.
Uh-huh.
Like relation with business. Yeah, I think at some point every artist needs that to just like have more economically stability in relation, with the finances and everything.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's easy. It's easier to buy the paint if
Yeah.
but I think it also it kind of eases your mind so that you can not think about such things and create, because such things can kind of be a detriment to the creative urges, I think, a little bit.
Mhm.
Don't you
I'm
think?
sorry.
Oh, I think we have to make a living, because otherwise, if we start worrying about such things, that kind of gets in the way of being creative.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yes. I think it's very hard because like at some point, like there's like some points, like if we see it as a timeline, there's like some points, at least for me, in which I couldn't just like involve in our projects because I was just like trying to just like pay the bills.
Yeah, survive. Sure. Sure. Yes,
Yeah.
it's difficult. Yes. You don't have gallery representation at this time, but do you still have relationships with the galleries that you have been in? I mean, can you periodically get involved or get invited to hang stuff periodically?
Um, the thing is that I moved to Miami a couple of years ago, and it's difficult to just like keep in touch with the galleries when you move from one city to another.
Uh-huh.
So I have some relationship with people that got some of my pieces when I was living in Lima. I mean, some of the collectors are, I think, like more involved in what I'm doing now.
Oh, great.
Have a more close relationship with them than the galleries. Um, but yeah, it's like something that, and you also, I'm like, as an artist, you have to just like work on that. I think I didn't work on that, and now I can realize that I should have, like just like keep working on that relationship to just like continue that relationship with them.
I know that the musicians are constantly working on their fan base for that very reason. It is a marketing tool. It is a way to, to take the music that you worked on so hard on Thursday, turn it into a product on Saturday and be able to contact these people that you're still in contact with and let them know that this product is available. I have to believe you have to do some similar things, correct?
Yeah, I mean, you have to contact them, you have to visit the galleries, um, for example, if you are like, if I get back to Lima at some point, I should just like visit them, like see what's going on in the gallery, just maybe grab a cup of coffee with them. It's kind of like it's kind of like friendships or relationships, like any
Absolutely.
relationship, right? It's like you need
Absolutely.
to just like keep keep in contact to just like
Yeah, yeah.
just
And
like
I
keep
think we forget sometimes, because we're artists, that we are actually in a business as well, and every business operates on its relationships, and that's how things that's kind of how that side of the world works a little bit. So now, do you have any upcoming shows?
I'm actually having a group show right now at the it's like Cribs L Museum at San Agustin, Florida.
Okay.
Um, is um is a group exhibition, and the theme is basically in relation with nature and botanical images. Um, and I think the title is something about the disturbance on the garden or something like that. I don't remember well. I'm sorry.
Oh, the
Uh,
serpent in the garden, that would be Adam and Eve, but
yeah. It's like yeah, I don't remember well, but it's something like that.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So how is the art scene? Well, we talked about the difference in the vibe between Lima and New Orleans. How is the vibe different between New Orleans and Miami?
Wow, it's just yeah, Miami has changed, I think, so much through the past 15 years probably. And art scene here is huge. Like
Oh,
yeah. There's like a lot of galleries. There is, we have the art basel in December. So we have like the art week. All that week, there's like different tents with different galleries showing around the city. Um, the museums also. I mean, if I compare how they used to be back in 2008 when I used to visit the city, just, to visit family members, um, they have grown a lot. They do have a great collection of art. Um, like if you go to the Paris Art Museum, they're because they move, like they do have like some permanent pieces, but they do also have the the rooms that they change every 6 months, I think.
Uh-huh.
And they're great. They're putting a lot of work on it. And yeah, there's always something going on here. Like every weekend, we do have like there's an Instagram page that gives you like every week, or it gives you like a schedule of every art activity during the weekends. So
Oh,
every
wow.
weekend there's something going on.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah, and it's difficult to keep up with that because like there's always something going on in the city, and the city is huge. Everything is at least 20 minutes apart, like if we took driving, like driving distance.
Uh-huh.
So everything is like 20, 45 minutes away. So yeah, it's crazy. It's
You
very,
draw a
yeah.
lot of inspiration from all of that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I remember a couple of years ago, a couple of friends from New Orleans visit me, and they felt the same thing. They were like, we feel like so, like feed with art, inspire. And I think like yeah, it's good to be in a city like that, like this, if you're an artist or not.
Yes.
Like yeah. Yeah.
That's that sounds great. And you also teach, is that correct?
Yeah, I teach at FIU. I'm right now I'm only teaching a 2D design class, which is kind of like a hybrid class that we have with another professor from the 3D class.
Uh-huh.
Uh, so it's kind of like it's weird to explain, but we basically just like explore different mediums, like, and we, like, let's say like if we are working with color, we make the kids working with light instead of like painting, so they can just like explore that, because they do have their classes in relation with drawing and painting, so we don't want to just like repeat the same information in relation with the basic, theory of the art. We want them to just like give them a space to just like explore a little bit more, because I mean like there's been artists in the 60s that work with light, so why we have to just like keep teaching, like the same assignments.
Yeah.
We just like give them a space to just explore and give them information about artists like Turel, like people that actually work with light and the spaces. um yeah, so it's been, yeah, I like to teach. And I think I like to teach. And I've been working for FIU for a couple of years already.
I've always believed that whenever I teach, too often I think at times I learn as much as the students do. I'm constantly learning.
Yeah. And I think that's the key, like to just like build a class that you enjoy to teach to, and that you are exploring with them, like, because that's gonna make the class a little bit more interesting.
I always found that the students, the little children, particularly the kids, teaching them beginning music, and I'd say, okay, we're going to do it this way, and they'd go, why? And I'd go, uh, and
It's a
now
good
I got to figure,
question.
now I got to figure out why, and because when I was taught, there's certain things that you do, and the teacher says do this, so you do it. And
Hmm.
and every once in a while you have a student goes, why? And you go, well, that's kind of the way I was taught, but there's got to be a better reason. And and so I think I become a better musician because of these kids that just kind of hold my feet to the fire and make me think about stuff.
Yeah.
But But I think I love teaching. I've taught now for, I was thinking about that the other day. I've been teaching now for 56 years.
Time flies. Yeah.
That's a really long time.
It
But
is.
but yeah, it's great. So you still continue to teach, and that still allows you to create your art. Does that at FIU, does that give you access to materials or different things that you can do there?
Yeah, I mean, like as a professor, you always have like access to the facilities. So, like right now, for example, I burn all the screens that I use for this like large body of work that I'm working on there at the campus, and then I print everything at my studio. Um, so I mean, like yes, they allow us to just like work with any type of equipment that we need, which is great. Like right now, I don't need to use the wood shop, but it will be very interesting to just like, use all the equipment first.
Just make sure you got all fingers. Count your fingers before and after.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on this show. I really, really, really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing your stuff some more.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, by the way. It's been
Oh,
very, yeah, fun to
I
just like talk to
I
someone about, my process of making art and all that.
I love it. I love it. So thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care.
Thank you for spending time with Carolina and I. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and feel free to leave a comment. I hope you'll come back real soon for more episodes of Creative Conversations with Roger Humphrey.